Hello my dear students, I am Praveen Bansal, your accountancy coach, teaching class 11th chapter number 8, Bills of Exchange. So far we have done two parts of this chapter. Today we will cover the third part and topic would be dishonor of bill. Let's start. Dishonor of bill. As the title is suggesting, the bill is not honored. The bill is dishonored. That means the debtor has refused to pay. So, a bill is said to have been dishonored when the drawee, that means the person who was supposed to pay, fails to make the payment on the date of maturity. Right? When the debtor fails to pay on the date of maturity. On the date of maturity. Before that, a bill cannot be considered as dishonored. Right? In this situation, the liability of the acceptor is restored. That means, when the bill is dishonored, when the debtor refuses to pay, then he becomes our debtor again. Right? When the drawee refuses to pay, then he becomes the seller's debtor again, and the seller becomes the liability in the books of debtor. Right, students? Let's understand by an example. On 1st January 2006, Shiba sold goods to Vishal for rupees 10,000 and drew upon him a bill of exchange for 2 months. Here, Shiba is the drawer, Shiba is the seller, Shiba is the one who is going to get a bill receivable, and Vishal is the drawee, the debtor, he is going to get a bill payable. Vishal accepted the bill and returned it to Shiba. That means bill of exchange were made. On the date of maturity, the bill of dishonored by Vishal. After 2 months and 3 days, 3 days for the grace, after 2 months and 3 days, Vishal the debtor refuses to pay. He says that he doesn't have the money. Record the entries in the cases. Cases means these cases when the bill was kept by Shiba till its maturity. Okay, students? I repeat, Shiba sold goods to Vishal, bills were exchanged, accepted, and on maturity, Vishal says he doesn't have the money. Let's see what journal entries would be passed in the books of Shiba and Vishal in the first case, and the first case says Shiba holded the bill till maturity. Books of Shiba. When the goods are sold, Vishal account is debited, Vishal is the debtor of Shiba, and sales account is credited. Right? Then bills were exchanged. Students, as I said that Shiba is the seller, she is going to get the money. So, the instrument she will receive, that would be bill receivable, and it is going to be her asset. Bill receivable account debited being an asset, and Vishal would be credited. Right? And on maturity, the bill is dishonored. On maturity, bill is dishonored. On maturity. That means 2 months and 3 days. The bill was written on 1st of January, January gone, February gone, March. 1st of March is the date, but plus 3 days means 4th of March. It is the date of maturity. on this date, the bill is dishonored. Here you need to focus. When we got the bill was debited, but now the bill is dishonored. So, the bill would be credited and Vishal would be my debtor again. Vishal would be considered as my debtor again. Clear, students? These are the entries in the books of drawer, that is Shiba. Okay? Now, for the same case, I'll make you learn how Vishal would draft journal entries in his books. Vishal bought goods, so purchase account would be debited, right? And Shiba, being his creditor, would be credited. And now, he got the bill payable. Here you need to focus. Vishal is going to get a bill payable and bill payable is his liability and liabilities are credited when increased. So, bill payable is credited and Shiba debited. Students, Shiba was the creditor first, but now after receiving bill, she won't be the creditor anymore because the liability is bill payable. Okay? Now, Vishal dishonored the bill. The liability was bill payable, but now bill payable would be debited and Shiba would be creditor again, and that on March 4, right. So, these are the entries in the book of Droy. Droy means the buyer, the debtor. Okay, students. So, this is our first case of dishonor of bill when the bill is retained till maturity. Okay. Now, let us see the second case. The second case says the bill was discounted by Shiba for rupees 200. The bill is discounted by Shiba for rupees 200. That means Shiba is not holding the bill till maturity. Shiba is sending the bill to the bank and getting it discounted. That means for 200 rupees, the bill is discounted for 200 rupees. Let's see. Let me make a note when the bill is discounted, journal in the books of Shiba. On 1st January, Vishal account would be debited and sales would be credited. The entry for sales, Vishal account debited to sales. Okay. Then bills were exchanged, bill receivable account debited to Vishal, bill receivable account debited to Vishal. Bill is received, so bill is an asset to me, bill receivable account would be debited. Since it is received from Vishal, so it would be Vishal account credited. Okay. Now, I have an asset in my hands by the name of bill receivable, that is for rupees 10,000. But now, I am getting it discounted by the bank for rupees 200. That means bank is going to give me 9,800 rupees. So, bank account would be debited 9,800. Discounting charges would be debited 200. Discounting charges are my expense. That is why it is debited. All losses and expenses are always debited. I am receiving the money, so bank would be debited, right. Now, you can see bill is slipped from my hands. When I received the bill, bill was debited, but I gave this bill to the bank and bank gave me money. bank debited and bill would be credited. Okay, students? But the case is all about dishonor. Listen up. We gave this bill to bank and on maturity, when bank visited the debtor refused. The debtor refused to pay. When debtor refused to pay, bank will approach us and bank people will say, we gave money to you by trusting that we will receive money from the debtor, from the drawee. But bank couldn't receive money. So, bank will ask me to pay back. Are you getting my point? See, bank gave me money, but bank couldn't recover it from the drawee. So, bank will deduct money from my account. So, bank account will be credited, right? And Vishal will become my debtor again. Vishal will become my debtor again and bank will get credited. Since bank will deduct money from my account, so asset will decrease, right? So, in this case, what did you observe? In order to get the bill discounted, I got only 9800 rupees. But when the bill got dishonored, my bank was reduced by 10,000. Bank was reduced by 10,000 and bank was increased by 9800 only. So, this is going to be a loss to the drawer. Okay, students? So, this is the case when the bill is discounted and dishonored. Okay? Let us start with the third case. When the bill is endorsed to Lal Chand by Shiba. When the bill is endorsed, let us see what happens. Firstly, the sale would be made, Vishal account debit to sales. Then the bill receivable would be made, bill receivable account debited to Vishal. Shiba has this bill in her hands, that is why bill receivable account is debited, right? Bill receivable account is debited, but bill is transferred, bill is endorsed to Lal Chand. So, Lal Chand account would be debited and bill would be credited. Bill was received, it was debited, but now you have sent this bill to Lal Chand. You have endorsed this bill to Lal Chand. So, bill receivable account would be credited and Lal Chand would be debited. Why do we debit Lal Chand? Debit the receiver, right? One thing. Second thing is, Lal Chand was your creditor, liability, and liability is getting reduced and liability gets reduced by debit and Lal Chand is reduced because we gave him bill. So, Lal Chand would be debited. Okay? So, the entry is Lal Chand account debit to bill receivable. Okay? And in the last, when the bill is dishonored, when the bill is dishonored, what would be the journal entry? See, we have to receive money from Vishal, bill is dishonored, so Vishal would be debited and Lal Chand got the bill and bill got dishonored. So, Lal Chand would become my liability again. Where is bill receivable? The answer is bill receivable was with Lalchand, and Lalchand might have cancelled the bill, isn't it? Yes. You could see bill receivable was debited and bill receivable was credited. Bill receivable is over. We need not to discuss bill receivable anymore. What we need to discuss? We need to discuss that Vishal is my debtor again, because we had to receive money from Vishal and we gave bill to Lalchand. Lalchand was our creditor. We paid him with bill. We compensated him with bill, but bill is dishonored. So, the Lalchand would become creditor again. Okay, students, this is what the journal entries in the case of dishonor of bill. Now, we will study one more thing, that is noting charges. Noting charges mean when the drawee refuses to pay and drawer must have incurred some expenses to get the bill of exchange created, or say he must have incurred some expenses to visit the drawee and the bill has been dishonored. So, the drawer wants that all those expenses are to be recovered from the drawee only, and such expense is known as noting charges. Noting charges are applicable in the case of dishonor only. Let us see. If there are two parties, Azad and Bunty. Let us say Azad sold goods to Bunty, bills were exchanged, and on maturity, bill is dishonored, right? Then in the books of Azad, Bunty's account would be debited and sales account would be credited, right? Bill receivable account would be debited and Bunty would be credited. Goods are sold, bills are exchanged. Now, bill is dishonored and noting charges are rupees 50, right? Now, Bunty would be debited by 15,000 for the bill and 50 for all those compensations, right? Azad would be crediting bill by 15,000 and to cash 50 for noting charges, right? Students, rupees 15,000 bill is gone and rupees 50 is the charge what Azad had to bear to visit Bunty. Those 50 was nothing but an outflow of cash for Azad. Okay? So, Bunty is debited by 15,050. Okay? Now, we will see what Bunty is going to record. When Bunty bought goods from Azad, he made purchase account debit to Azad, Azad account debit to bill payable, and maturity is, let us say, 3 days and 3 months, right? Bill payable is cancelled and noting charges would be debited. Always remember, noting charges would be debited in the books of debtor only. Noting charges would be debited in the books of debtor, not the seller, not the drawer, right? Noting charges is an expense for debtor because he is the one because of whom this expense was existing. Okay, students, and Azad would be his creditor again for 15,050 rupees. So, students, you all are supposed to practice similar kind of questions of dishonor of bill from your textbook. We have discussed Dishonor of bill, when the bill is retained till maturity, when the bill is discounted from the bank, when the bill is endorsed to someone else, with noting charges and without noting charges. So, this is how I end this part for the chapters Bill of Exchange. Thank you.